Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustle and dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
Sunday, it's coffee with Frankie time. It is Sunday, March the 30th, 2025, 10:02 hours on the East Coast of America. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay in the chat. It's time for coffee with Frankie, and we all need a little caffeination this morning with everything that's going on around here in the world of sports on the FSPN network, the Frankie Sports Programming Network. We'll try to keep up with all these sports going on at the current moment. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat. Looks like should be working okay. Arlen Abraham is here. The great Phil Adams is here. Greetings from the east side of the pond. Uh, we got Joe Mike, Frankie. Morning, fellas. It's coffee time. Audio visual 100%. Okay, PC Salami is here. Can see and hear. All right, well, good to know. We got a lot going on. It's March the 30th. It's Sunday. Today, and hopefully everybody's flying in early because there's some severe weather going on in Florida. Central Florida mostly, but all over that's going basically from west to east. And it's mostly thunderstorms, showers, things of that nature. But the reason I'm saying that is because there's a big thing going on in West Palm Beach, Florida, called the owners' meetings. And that's going to be starting today. So I assume everybody's already flown in, probably flew in last night, because the owners' meetings in the NFL are getting started today. And there's some interesting things going on in the owners' meetings. Of course, they're going to be voting on some of the rules, things, changes to the rules. They might ban the tush push, for example. Might get banned this year. No more pushy tushy. Oh no, what will the Eagles do next? Um, and other minor rules changes. And so that's happening, and all the teams are flying in. And the other thing about it is that tomorrow, Monday, the 31st, um, is when Aaron Glenn will speak to the media and Darren Muji will speak to the media. Aaron Glenn is going to speak to the media, I believe, at 7:45 a.m. tomorrow. So better get up early if you want to hear that one live. And uh, so that'll be the first time that they start that they talk to the media about all these moves that they've made. And some of our beat reporters will be there. Dick Chimney will be there, per Dick Chimney, and he will ask Aaron Glenn about Chooks Okorafor and that signing, which was seemed to be out of character a bit from the other signings and from what Glenn said he wants on his team. So it'll be interesting to see what head coach has to say about that. But basically, the first time we hear from them, uh, in this new era after they've made some signings, after we hired them. So that's going on. So you may hear some news coming out of the NFL about rules changes, what's going to get voted on, what's going to get approved, what's not going to get approved. They're going to change a little bit the kickoff rule, for example. They're going to make it more of a penalty to kick it through the end zone. So you may see fewer of those throughout the season. If you do that, you're gonna have to take it out to the 35, I think, which is quite an advantage for the offense if you do that. So you really want to kick it inside the return zone or whatever they call it. So that's going to happen, and the tush push might get banned, and then there's a couple other things that they're going to be voting on, so forth and so on. Joe Mike says, Frankie, what about Membu and Trapilio and Tyler Warren? Well, I think one of the things we're going to do today, Joe Mike, why don't we do a 3-round mock? Do you guys want to do a mock? I haven't really been doing mocks on my channel, if you noticed. What about doing a 3-round mock right now, live? And we'll not right now, but like during this show, and we'll do a 3-round mock, and we could talk through all the options. Joe, what do you think about that? Let me know if that's something you want to do. We could do it. We could do it. We could definitely do it. So let me know if you guys want to do that. We could take a look, take a look, take a look. And Jets, good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Jimmy Jets is here, the great Jimmy Jets. He doesn't want to ban the tush push. He wants people pushing the tushes. Well, I think they should ban the tush push, but they should make it wider. Like you shouldn't be able to push, pull, yank, or any way support the ball carrier. So all those times when the ball carriers like get stopped and then everybody comes behind him, like the running back or whatever, and pushes them forward. I hate that whole thing. So I think they should just make it you can't push anybody. There's no pushing, pulling, carrying, anything. They should just make it a broader thing and not really about the tush push so much. Just there shouldn't be any pushing or pulling or yanking of the ball. Like the guy carrying the ball has the responsibility of carrying the ball. You can't have 10 other guys pushing you forward. And that's what happens sometimes. I hate that whole thing, including the tush push. So I would get rid of all of that. Let's give something to the defense for God's sakes. I mean, geez, that's my opinion. NYC Sport 1233. What's up, Frankie? He says. I don't think I've commented, but you asked if I'd listen to content besides the Jets. I would. All right. Well, good. We're going to cover some other sports here on FSPN. So ESPN is a network that you all know. They're owned by Disney. So I say FSPN. Fuck those guys. We need the Frankie Sports Programming Network. We don't need Disney telling us about sports. But yeah, we'll talk about baseball. We're gonna do that. NYC Sport 1233. We're gonna do just that. Well, Joe Mike says, let's do it. All right, so we'll do a mock draft as well. We'll do not a 7-rounder. Let's not get crazy, Joe. Let's not get crazy over here. We're not gonna do a 7-rounder because we're not insane maniacs like a Dom C or somebody. We'll do a 3-rounder. Yeah. Phil Adams, Frankie mocks are as rare as Super Bowl wins for the Jets. I mean, every year there's a Super Bowl win. Well, I guess you could say, and every year I do a mock. So maybe that's what you mean, Phil. PC says, we're not playing rugby. No malls. Yeah, right. That's what I think, PC. Jimmy says, so what happens if it happens? 10-yard penalty? Yeah. Yes. Or you can make it 5 yards if you want. But overall, if you ban it, they're not going to do it, right? Jimmy, will be like, why would you even do it? Like tush put if you said no pushing or pulling or any, you made it broad like that. Certainly, nobody would try the tush push. They know it's a penalty, right? So they're not going to do it. And then all those other ones where the running backs running and they kind of get stood up, and then everybody comes and tries to push him. They're not going to do that either because they know that's a penalty. So it won't be in the game. And I think that's better, personally. Yeah, because it's a different game. I don't think we should have other people pulling, pushing, yanking, carrying ball carriers. That's my opinion. But hey, if they keep it in there, you know, I'm not going to cry about it. But I just think there's no, you shouldn't be helping the ball carrier in any way, shape, or form. Just block people and have the guy run. What about blocking? Can we get back to blocking? Jimmy says, I am an insane. Well, maybe you are, Jimmy, but I don't want to do seven. I mean, three. Look, the reason I say three is the three guys we take in the first rounds are going to be our impact guys. Everybody from 4 to 7. If we get an impact guy there, that's very lucky. The Michael Carters of the world are very rare, and Jamie and Sherwoods are pretty rare. Uh, so so maybe we'll. I mean, but for the most part, those guys are going to be special teamers, roster fillers. But the first three got to be impact, especially the way we've gone after free agents so far. So that's why I say that. Bring back the Sports Center highlight loop and get rid of the opinions. Yeah. Well, what if old Frankie did that, and Jets? I could do it. I'm telling you, I would be so good as the new Dan Patrick. Remember back in the day, Ant Jets? It was like Dan Patrick and the other guy. What was his name? Keith Obermeiser or something. And they would do the highlights, and they would add in their personality. And a lot of it was like, Dan Patrick would say the whiff, and things like that. They would add in personality into the highlights, and that was basically Sports Center, like highlights with some personality in it. And now it's all corporatized, and all of the guys with personality have their own shows. Like Trey Wingo is off doing something, and then you have Scott Van Pelt shows up occasionally after a football game, and then you have uh, Dan Patrick has his own show, and Rich Eisen has his own show. So all the guys who used to do the personality highlights, so to speak, they all went and did their own thing. And now the people who are on ESPN are just these corporate robots who just read the teleprompter. That's no fun. Who likes that? Yeah. Flatbush Dre is here. Good to see you, Flatbush. All the Flatbush people got to stick together. Joe Mike. NFL should plan. Yeah, well, they should ban. You know what they should ban, Joe Mike? They should ban New York teams from playing in New Jersey. That's what they should ban. why? Why is it? And it's because I know why it is, but it's stupid that they have this thing called territorial rights, and the Jets and Giants have the territorial rights for, like, you start in Manhattan, I guess, in the middle of Manhattan somewhere, and then you make a big circle around, whatever it is, 150-mile diameter or something, and we have the territorial rights to play anywhere there, and nobody else can play there. You can't have any other football teams come in there. Nope, because of territorial rights. And so New Jersey, that part of New Jersey falls within the territorial rights, and so we can play there. But it's stupid. It's a whole other state. It's like saying, well, let's go play in Connecticut. What? We're supposed to be the New York Jets. How about playing in New York? You got a gigantic state. Sure, most of it is this tiny little, tip of an island, and then another island, and then Staten Island. But then there's a whole gigantic other part of the state called upstate, and we can't figure out a place to play. I mean, it's crazy. No, we got to go to New Jersey and put down a concrete field turf so everybody breaks their neck when they're trying to play football. I mean, it's ridiculous. Jimmy says, all right, 3 rounds is good. Flatbush Dre says, I'm glad we don't have to deal with A-Rod drama anymore. Yeah, I think he might be leaning toward retirement. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's go to the videotape. Yeah, remember Warner Wolf? Let's go to the videotape. That was Warner Wolf. Remember that guy? He didn't have much personality, but he was like on CBS or something. NYC says, I agree. No pushing right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. All right, so let's get to some of these sports then. In case you missed it from last night, baseball. The Yankees put on a power show. The Yankees beat the Milwaukee Brewhahas 20-9. 20. You rarely see a baseball team have a number like 20. They're calling it a laugher, but they beat them 20-9. Aaron Judge hit 3 home runs and a double, drove in 8 of the 20 runs. So it was a laugher, but Max Fried also didn't pitch very well. Even with all that run support, couldn't get through 5 innings, couldn't get the win. And the Yankees also committed 5 errors. Cinco errores. Not good. Not good. You're not going to score 20 runs every day. So we'll see how they do today, but they get the win. They're now 2-0. 20-9 victory, drubbing. In other scores, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and Los Angeles County in the country of the United States of America on planet Earth won against the Chicago White Sox 1-0. The St. Louis Cardinals beat the Minnesota Twinkies 5-1. The Baltimore Orioles in an AFC East battle beat the Toronto Blue Jays 9-5. The Blue Jays are now 1-2. Orioles 2-1. Philadelphia Phillies 11. Washington Senators 6. Phillies 2-0. Washington falls to 0-2. Kansas City Chiefs 4. Cleveland Indians 3. They're both 1-1 on the season. Cincinnati Red Stockings beat your San Francisco Gigantes 3-2. The Colorado Rockies won 2-1 over the Tampa Bay Rays, who are now playing in George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa because their stadium got messed up by the weather. Miami Marlins 5, Pittsburgh Pirates 4, Texas Rangers 4, Bostonians 3. So the Boston Red Sox fall to 1-2 on the season so far. They're expected to contend this year. The Houston Astros beat your New York Mets 2-1. And so the Mets, with spending all that money on Juan Soto, so far not getting a return on it. 1-2 on the season, and the Astros go to 2-1. The San Diego Padres go to 3-0. They beat the Braves 1-0. The Chicago Cubbies beat the Arizona Snakeheads 4-3, and the Dodgers go to 5-0. The Dodgers might have the biggest payroll in the history of all of baseball history this year, spending a lot of money, and it's paying off. They're now 5-0 as they beat the Detroit Tigers, who are 0-3, and they won that game 7-3. And then the last game on the schedule, your Las Vegas A's beat the Seattle Sea Chickens 4-2. Seattle falls to 1-2 on the year. The Las Vegas A's go to 2-1. Uh, Amazingly, uh, Aaron Judge now has an OPS on the season of 2.100. That is quite high. He had an amazing 8 RBIs in the game yesterday. Had 4 hits, 3 home runs, and a double. 4 runs scored. And I think, it's pretty apparent with this team. It seems like they're going to be beating up on bad pitching. But can they do something like this against good pitching? That's going to be the test. But newcomers Paul Goldschmidt is new on the team, chipped in 2 for 3 and an RBI. Cody Bellinger 3 for 5 and 4 RBIs. Jazz Chisholm 2 for 5 and an RBI as the Yankees romped. And like I said, Fried only got through 4 2/3. So given all those runs, couldn't make it through the fifth. But only 2 of the runs he gave up were earned because of all the errors that they gave up. Gomez pitched an inning and a third. Hedrick an inning clean. Carlos Carrasco came in, finished it up. 2 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned. No walks, 2 strikeouts, and that was your ball game for the New York Yankees. Yeah, I got a report on this. Speaking of, okay, so since Jimmy Jets brought it up, let's bring up this item. This is very interesting to see. Let's close out some of these tabs here. Let's bring up this story right here, and let's share the screen so you guys can see. There now, share screen. Boom. This is the story right here. This is what Jimmy Jets is talking about. The Yankees made new bats. What? We're allowed to make new bats. Yeah, we're allowed to make new bats where they moved a lot of the wood into the label so the hardest part of the bat will strike the ball. So what they did was, and if I'm not going to play this because I don't think you guys will be able to hear it, and then it gets choppy. But basically, what it says is that the Yankees analytics department, and this is an example of analytics, okay, resulting in something tangible and interesting on the field. All right, not just a bunch of spreadsheet nerds. And the analytics department did research, and they found out that a lot of the hitters were basically striking the ball on the label way more than they were on the barrel. And so they said, well, why don't we construct a bat where the fat part of the bat is near the label, which is down closer to the handle. And so this is what this is right here. And it seems a little strange, but for some hitters who typically would be getting jammed, on a swing per se, maybe this is a good solution. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but it could be a revolution in bat making. We could be witnessing right now um, a revolution in bat making. And who thought moving the fat part of the bat down toward the label would be a good idea? But analytics said, hey, let's try it out. And I guess they've created some prototypes. And then the guys started using them and we're like, wow, this is much better. Some of the guys, not all of them. Uh, so we'll have to see how this plays out. But I thought this was interesting because it started with the analytics department. Now, the Jets have four people. They either have three or four. I'm not sure if Arjun is still there in their analytics department. So we have it. The Jets have an analytics department, just like the Yankees. And so the question is, is Muji going to be able to utilize them better, maybe than Joe Douglas did? Maybe Muji is better at the analytics side of the house, and can those analytics people make, well, it's got to be legal, Jimmy Jets, right? They're using it in a game. Uh, So we'll see. Now, I don't see why this would be illegal. So Jimmy's saying, well, what about the legality? Well, I mean, they're using it in a game, so it must be illegal. What would be illegal about it? I think that the rule book just says it has to be a certain weight and size. And as long as it fits into the parameters, why not? What's the difference? They're just moving the weight of the bat to a different part of the bat. I don't see why that would be illegal. Well, yeah, the owners could now, you could change the rule book, right? And they could say, wait a minute. But then again, if this catches on, then all the teams are going to start doing it, Jimmy. It's not just going to be the Yankees. Like, this is out now. This was 18 hours ago. So this is a story that's out now. So everybody knows about it now. So if they didn't before. And so if it works, all the teams will do it, right? And it'll just be a change in, so maybe it'll result in an increase in offense, which is good for everybody. Logan says, just don't fill that far to the. Yeah, that's what they used to do in the old days. Remember that? And sometimes the bat would break, and then all the corks would come out. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. We'll see if it results. Maybe it is an advantage, and that would be amazing if it is. Now, no, it's not cork. They just moved. It's just the bat. I mean, you wouldn't have it. This is the Yes Network. You wouldn't have Yes Network talking about illegal stuff, Jimmy. Like, this is the Yes Network. The Yankees own the Yes Network. They're not going to be talking about illegal stuff. They did this. It's got to be legal. There's no way it's illegal. And because there's no way the Yankees would just be like, we did something illegal. Let's do broadcasting. Let's do a segment on this how illegal thing we did. Right? They wouldn't do that. All right. Well, you may have. So that's baseball. That's the baseball scoreboard from yesterday. Got more games on tap today, of course, um, and then you see this about the bats. Well, what else is going on? What about the UFL? That's right. We've got the UFL. Here, I wanted to see the scoreboard. Oh, here it is. So there were two games in the UFL yesterday. The St. Louis Battlehawks beat the Houston Roughnecks 31-6. Now you may be saying, who cares about that? But the UFL, the St. Louis Battlehawks have three players that are former Jets, and the head coach is a former Jet. You may not know. So Anthony Becht is the head coach, and Denzel Mims and Frida Mamakaluka is on the team, and Jerome Cap is on the St. Louis Battlehawks. Now the Battlehawks won in convincing fashion, 31-6. They killed the Houston Roughnecks, but unfortunately, Denzel Mims did not have an impact on the game at all. So there's that. Now in the second game, Arlington Renegades took care of the San Antonio Brahmas 33-9. So similarly, another blowout in the UFL. Jimmy, yes, Denzel Mims did play, but he didn't play much at all. I think he played a few snaps and he had no impact on the game. So Arlington Renegades 33-9. And I will say also, I'm keeping all of the game books. So for anybody who's an Inner Circle member, and I think, Jimmy, I think you are an Inner Circle member, if I recall right, then you can go to your folder and find all of the game books for all of the UFL games. So we're keeping those for the Inner Circle members if you want to check that out. Many more benefits of becoming an Inner Circle member. I would encourage everybody to check out some of the benefits. $5 gets you in the door, $5 a month, that is. And you get all sorts of stuff. You get NFL playbooks, you get UFL game books, you get all sorts of stuff. Keeping track of the roster, keeping track of the 30 visits, all sorts of stuff. Write ups on the community tab. Check out the community tab. Even those members who are members, remember to check out the community tab where that comes out. Now, back to the UFL. The Arlington Renegades against the Brahmas. Probably the biggest thing about this game was that Kellen Mond was the quarterback of the San Antonio Brahmas, and he played terrible. And if you remember, like somebody like Chris Sims had Kellen Mond the fifth best quarterback coming out of college that year, and he's doing terrible in the UFL. And he remember he couldn't get on the field in the NFL. So it's interesting. Like Denzel Mims, Kellen Mond, they're not even good in the UFL. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, I wish I could figure this Mimsy thing out, Phil. I was thinking, okay, he's going to get on the field for these guys and he's going to catch some bad. He did nothing. I think he played a few snaps. That's it. Now Jerome Cap was inactive actually, and Freedom made a few tackles, I think, and then Anthony Beck was the head coach. And so, at some point, Anthony Beck would probably be a coach in the NFL. I would say it seems like he's getting good experience as the head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks, and his team is considered to be one of the stronger teams in the league this year. So we'll have to see how that works out. Anthony Beck, the West Virginia boy, yeah, and New York Jet, of course, and I think eventually he's going to get into NFL coaching. I think Harlan, yeah, he sure did. And if you remember, what happened was toward the end of the year. So the head coach there was Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer, yeah, Mike Zimmer. And at some point, it was the end of the year. They didn't have much to play for. And one of the reporters said, "Well, are you going to put like Kellen Mond in the game to see what he can do? As a young player, do you want to see what he can do? Would you put him in the game?" And Mike Zimmer said, "No." And the reporter was like, "Well, why not?" And he goes, "Well, I see him every day in practice." So that was really the death knell for Kellen Mond. It was like, oh my God, that's a brutally honest opinion. So yeah, he was, and then so he bounced around a bit, and then in practice squads and so forth, and then now he's in the UFL, and he played terrible yesterday. And I was like, maybe he'll play good in this league. Nope, no, not in the first game, anyways. Joe Mike says Mims has. Yeah, you'd think they would just make him an X in this and just like let him run the kind of routes he can run, but I don't know what. Listen, it's a mystery to me. I don't know what's wrong with the guy. I was hoping he'd put up some stats here in this game, in this league, do something. Denzel, listen, I'm a Denzel Mims fan. I will be forever. I think he's a good kid. He just hasn't performed. And I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. But I'll keep rooting for him. Maybe he'll figure it out someday. Now, more news on the UFL is this. Did you know they had labor strife? Yeah. Look at this article. UFL kicking off 2025 season with labor fight still simmering. Oh my goodness, what's this all about? Labor issues marred much of United Football League's first full offseason, and they're still unresolved. The first game of the 2025 season, though, is still set for Friday night. So they don't have a labor deal in place. The offseason for the UFL had originally been intended to build on a series of viewership and awareness gains last year. Recent weeks, however, have been colored by a series of rising issues, with players pushing for increased salaries and year round health care coverage. Threat of a player strike grew to the point that media partners, Fox and ESPN, began to make alternate broadcast plans if games were lost. In the final hours, though, before the 2025 league debut Friday in Houston, game activities and other functions were proceeding largely as normal. The teams are preparing as we speak, and an interruption is not expected, said an industry source. Now, of course, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is one of the owners. Now, one of the other owners is Danny Garcia, who used to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson's manager. And then also another partner is Fox. So Fox Network owns part of this league, and also Redbird Capital, which is either a VC or PE firm. They're saying, the players are saying, the UFL has refused to bargain with us in good faith. The UFL is willing to invest in everyone but the players. Now, the guys who are suiting up every week and putting their bodies on the line, a union letter to Johnson read in part. Now, you know the union is weak when they're writing strongly worded letters. That's their negotiating tactic, is strongly worded letters. So they are pretty weak, but and you know that, and everybody knows that, and so they're probably not going to get what they want. And it says here Fox is a 50% equity holder, so Fox owns half the league. Okay, so Fox really wants this thing to succeed, and they're really trying. They're putting people on the air, Fox and Friends, and Fox and this, and using their social media and all that. But my point about all this is somebody somewhere at some point in time is going to be a good business person instead of being a steroid actor like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Do more steroids, Dwayne. That'll help you. And realize that for a league like this, why not make, instead of Fox being a 50% equity holder, why don't you make the union a 50% equity holder? When are the players going to get their share? That's what I would like to know. Why can't the players own half the league? Because then the players can become your marketing arm, and they will help market the game through all of their social media and everything else. And instead of treating the players as just employees, why not give them a share of the actual profits and a share of the actual entity so that everybody can profit, and then everybody's an equal partner instead of just treating the players as employees? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think there should be more shareholder agreements where players are involved and fans are involved. For example, the Oakland Ballers, right? The Oakland Ballers are completely owned by the fans. That's an independent league baseball team. The fans own the team. That's the way it should be. I think Green Bay Packers, fans own the team. I like it. I think it makes for better alignment of incentives. But I don't think Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a great businessman. He's a good actor and he's good at taking steroids and lifting weights, but I don't think he's really a great businessman. I mean, somebody running this league should be a businessman. Well, maybe the UFL president and CEO, Russ Brandon, is a businessman and he did some publicity. But he didn't say anything about the labor strife. He didn't say anything about the players. He didn't say anything about year-round health care. I mean, what are these guys supposed to do in the off season? You know, go to the ER? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, something else they should really do if they really wanted to market this thing. There's like 8 teams, right? Why don't they just make it an official minor league of the NFL, where let's say 5 teams would be able to take any players they want from one of the squads. And that way all of the fans of those teams would then go, "Oh, look, let's scout our minor league club," right? So like let's say the Jets had an interest in the Brahmas or whatever. This team here is the Brahmas. This is destroying. He has a very strong media presence, this kicker here. Um, let's say the Brahmas were associated with the Jets, and the Jets could only take players off of the Brahmas squad, say, and the 4 other teams in the NFL would be the same. Well, wouldn't a lot of Jet fans watch the Brahmas games to see if there's any players we could get off of the Brahmas, right? Why wouldn't you affiliate these clubs? There's only 8 of the clubs now. Why wouldn't you affiliate them with the NFL in some capacity? Because you need the fans of those teams to watch these games. Otherwise, nobody's watching. I don't think anybody's really watching. Is anybody really watching the UFL carefully? I'm keeping an eye on it because I think it's kind of interesting and it's a downtime in the season. But eventually, once the NFL really starts to get going, the draft really starts to get going, I'm not going to care about the UFL anymore. It's only because it's a downtime right now. So I think those are some of the things you could do if you had a real business person in charge. And I think we need to give players much more equity than what they get now. Yeah, like feeder teams, Phil, like minor league teams, like, these minor leaguers, for example, in baseball, if you're a minor leaguer for the Yankees, you can't go play for the Braves. Like you have to come up for the Yankees. The Yankees draft you. Now you're on the Yankees, but then they put you in the minor leagues and you make your way up. Well, this is kind of like the minor leagues of football. That's what this is, essentially. It's an in between from college and the pros. These are the people who, a lot of them obviously played in college, but they couldn't make it into the NFL. So this could be a feeder league. And it doesn't mean you have to take them up to the Jets, but you can. You have a choice, you know. Well, there was an NFL Europe, Jimmy. There is a European League of Football. It's called the ELF right now that plays American football, the European League of Football. But it has no official, no correlation to the NFL. But I mean, this thing is right here. It's right here in America. I mean, it's right here. It's happening. All you'd have to do is say, listen, and it would require no effort on the NFL's part. All you'd have to do is say, okay, these 5 teams you're associated to the Brahmas. These 5 teams you're associated to the Roughnecks. These 5 teams you're associated to this team, that team, that so forth and so on. And you guys can sign, those 5 teams can sign anybody off the Brahmas. These 5 teams can sign anybody if you want to. You don't have to. And that way you get all the fans of the Jets. Like if the Jets were associated to the Brahmas, a lot of Jet fans would watch the Brahma games, right? It's a way to get the some percentage of the Jet fan base to pay attention to this thing, right? So, yeah, there's been a lot of attempts over the years to get this right, and nobody has figured it out yet. And they're making a big deal out of the fact that they have had 4 straight seasons now of spring football, different iterations. It was the XFL, then it was the UFL, USFL, whatever. And now they've merged into this UFL. So, but they're saying, well, we've had 4 straight seasons of spring football. They're trying to make a big deal of that, right? So that they're trying to say spring football can be a thing. And actually, Trump, to be honest with you, scuttled the whole USFL. To be honest with you, what Trump wanted to do, he owned the New Jersey Generals, and he wanted to compete with the NFL head on in the fall, which was not a good idea. I can understand it from a competition standpoint. And Trump also tried to buy several NFL teams, including the Buffalo Bills and Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys he pulled out of. He didn't try to buy them. He was interested in it and pulled out. Um, so he's been interested in football for a long time. But his thing was we need to compete the USFL head to head with the NFL in the fall. That was not a good idea. And that essentially, and then the USFL did try to do that, and that's what, and then they failed, and then they went bankrupt. Should have stayed as a spring league and could have maybe made something. But anyway, that's ancient history. But now we have this UFL, and they're saying, okay, we've had 4 straight years of spring football, so they're making a big deal of that. People are kind of watching it. The stadiums are still empty, and they haven't associated any of the teams. So there's 3 ideas I have for them, 3 or 4 ideas I have for them. Where's my other story that could help them? Oh, here's another story about the UFL. Let's go. Since we're talking about the UFL, here's something else. Do, 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 do. Jimmy Jets, are they? This is why you need a businessman in charge. Are they making enough money to warrant their demands? This is why you need a businessman in charge to take care of all of that. Here's uh, here's something else. Exclusive. ESPN making Aaron Dolan in-game betting analyst for UFL games. So even though Fox owns the league, they sold some of the games to ESPN. And they're going to bring this person on right here in the middle that you can see smiley smiley um, for betting. Aaron Dolan will provide betting news and notes during game broadcast. Now, why do you think this person got this job? Aaron, here she is right here. Aaron Dolan will make in-game betting. Do you think this person's a betting expert? Mm, I don't know. You tell me. She look like a betting expert to you? Let's read the report. Maybe she is. ESPN making Aaron Dolan in-game betting analyst for UFL games. ESPN is experimenting with a new on-air role for its upcoming UFL coverage, as Aaron Dolan will be a full-time in-game betting analyst around the spring football league. There she is. ESPN, and she says Dolan regularly appears on the ESPN Bet Live studio show, whatever that is, and gives betting analysis during Sunday NFL Countdown. I've never seen her on Sunday NFL Countdown, but the in-game nature of her UFL role is a new experiment for the network. ESPN's Stormy Buonantonio has previously provided similar commentary as an on-field reporter for the XFL and UFL, but on a much smaller role. So then she goes on and she says, and sometimes I think the numbers aren't very digestible when you hear numbers being spewed at you. So breaking it down more from a learning perspective would be the goal for me. So she's going to break down numbers, I guess. It says here, I go back to my own family who's watched me on TV for how many years? I don't know. Have you been on TV? Uh, Seems like she thinks we all know who she is. I don't know who this person is. And they still don't understand it, she said. I'm like, I don't understand how you watch an hour a night and don't get it at this point. Well, maybe they just don't care. I'm so immersed in it that I am like, she says like a lot. What are we not getting? But I think I will try to make it as digestible as possible and also speak a lot more slowly. So she's going to speak slowly. That's how stupid she thinks you are. She got to speak slowly to you. She's much smarter than you, of course. Speak a lot more slowly than I would in an ESPN bet when I get amped up about a bet. She gets amped up about a bet. hmm And she starts rambling. I don't really understand this. First of all, she's very condescending. She's going to speak a lot more slowly so that you idiots out there understand it. But then I don't know. Do you really want this person telling you about bets? Like I think it'd be funny, this person here. I think it'd be funny if they if they're going to do this at all, which I don't recommend. I don't recommend gambling. It's basically for degenerates. But um if they're going to do it, it would be cool if they went to like some guy who really is a degenerate gambler, like and looks like it. He's like, let's go to let's go to Jimmy the Greek or something on the street. right? And then you go to Jimmy, and he's like, he's by a wall with a cardboard box, and they're like, Jimmy, it's time for you to tell us about the betting. And he turns around and goes, oh, sorry. And they're like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just collecting money up from this cockfight over here. What are we doing? Football? Yeah, football. And he's like, hey, yeah, football. Here's the bets you should make in football. Da, 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 da. I think that'd be funny. Well, but instead, they're bringing on Aaron Dolan, who thinks she has to speak slowly to you. This person here, she thinks she has to speak more slowly so that you idiots out there can understand it. So look forward to that. Good luck with that, ESPN. And this is why we need FSPN, by the way, because ESPN brings on people who think they have to speak more slowly so that you idiots out there will understand it. Fuck ESPN. Fuck ESPN. Fuck them. FSPN all day long, baby. We need more FSPN and less ESPN. Screw them. Screw those bastards. Uh, yeah, it's probably freaking James Dolan's daughter or something. You know, and she's saying like every other word. That's the other thing, right, Phil? It's like this person's just reading off a teleprompter. You know, like as if she's some kind of genius. She has to speak more slowly to so that you will understand it, but she's reading off of a teleprompter. Yeah, Jimmy the Greek. Let's get Jimmy the Greek's grandson down here. He's out on the streets. He's with a cardboard box. What are you doing, Jimmy? Oh, I was just betting on which one of these rats was going to eat the piece of pizza. Sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like a real degenerate gambler. Uh, Tony Alexio's here. Hit the like. Yeah, let's remind everybody. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the join button if you want to join the inner circle and get exclusive items, including emojis and reports and documents and write-ups on the community tab. And hit the and why not get a coffee mug for Coffee with Frankie? This is Coffee with Frankie. We now have coffee mugs available in the description down below. Uh, they're not Coffee with Frankie coffee mugs. They're New York Jet coffee mugs from uh, Fanatics. So consider getting yourself one. It's an affiliate link down there. If you need a new coffee mug, you can grab it that way. Not hearing the bell. Man, that thing is so temperamental. Really? You guys can't hear the bell? Well, that's unfortunate. Um, I wonder. Well, we'll get back into it. You need Nick the Greek. Yeah, at least he was an actual grand. Yeah, exactly. All right, so now we're at a stage in the show. Uh, let's not do the panic meter. Let's do the mock draft, shall we? You want to get into the mock draft? Let's do a little mockety mock. Uh, we're gonna use the. Let's see if we can open this up here. We're gonna use Pro Football Network because I used a couple other ones and they were giving me weird results, man. Oops. Okay, you can read that, right? So in this one, it's already started. And obviously this was good because this is realistic. Not that it's at least somewhat realistic. I don't think this is exactly going to happen, but it's at least realistic of what could happen. Now, the main weird thing that's on this one so far is that, but it gives us a chance to, so I kind of liked it because it gives us a chance to kind of debate it. So what's happened already? Cam Ward went one. That's what we expect. Travis Hunter went two. That is an unknown at this point. They could take Shador. They could take, uh, Carter. They could go any which way. They take Travis Hunter, and then the Giants take Will Campbell. Now, in reality, my current thinking is the Giants kind of have to take a quarterback there. They don't, and the reason I say that is because of Dayball and Shane. Dayball and Shane have to save their jobs, and they have to go to the owner and say, "We got a short-term plan and a long-term plan." That way, they get, and the idea is this way they get to keep their jobs. And the idea being, okay, we're going to go with Russell Wilson this year, and a backup is Winston, and we're going to draft Shador. And if it doesn't work out with Russell Wilson, then don't worry. Here comes Shador at some point this year or next year. And then they got the young quarterback. And then if things start going badly, they can say, wait, you got to have patience. He's young, da 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 da. So this way they get 2 or 3 more years out of it. And hopefully then Shador, is good. And then they start winning and off they go. So, yeah, now PC makes a good point in that Cleveland also desperately needs a quarterback. Now, the current quarterbacks on their roster, as we saw the other day, is Deshaun Watson, who's going to miss a considerable amount of time with his Achilles this year, per them. And then the only other guy they have is Kenny Pickett. So how could they pass up Shador? You're saying, well, the idea with them would be they're going to wait till after this draft, and there's some news about this in terms of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins says he's not waiving his no trade clause until after the draft. So meaning he nobody should trade for Kirk Cousins before the draft, with the idea being he doesn't want to have the same thing happen to him that happened in Atlanta, where he thinks he's a starter, then the draft comes and they draft a guy. So he's saying nobody try to trade for me till after the draft. And so the idea could be, well, if Cleveland does not go after a quarterback, especially in the first round, and maybe they get a developmental one in round 3 or 4 or something, then they after right after the draft is over on Monday, they make a trade with Atlanta for old Kirky Cuzzo, and it's Kirk. And meanwhile they build up the rest of the team with the draft picks. So that would be the theory with them. I don't think they're going to do something like sign Joe Flacco or Carson Wentz. You could, but the reason I think this is unrealistic is I think the Giants would take Shador here, and with the idea of we need a right now solution, Wilson. We need a future solution, Sanders. They also do need offensive line. So Will Campbell is a nice pick for them. I don't think it's not a good pick, but I just think they need a quarterback with what has happened in the history of the Giants here in the last few years. They need a quarterback, but it's not unrealistic. They could take Campbell, and maybe they hope they can get Jackson Dart in round 2 or something. Then New England takes Abdul Carter. That makes a lot of sense. Then the Jacksonville Jaguars take Mason Graham. That makes a lot of sense. And then the Raiders take Ashton Janty. That makes a lot of sense. And that leaves it up to us. Now, we have a choice. We got Membu. Um, we got Shador. In this case, we could take the quarterback. We got Tet. We got Stewart. We got Tyler Warren. We got all these people on the board. So tell me in the chat who you would draft with these people available. Membu, Will Johnson, Shador, Tet, Jamar, Tyler Warren, Banks, Jalen Walker, and all the rest. I know what I would do, but what would you do in the chat in this situation? And we're not going to play the trade game. No trades. It's too complicated. Cleveland should sign Rodgers. Yeah, there's been no smoke about that, interestingly. It's not a terrible idea. It's not the worst idea, Tony. It's not the worst idea. They have a decent team. They have a good offensive line, at least. They need some wide receiver help. It seems like Chubb's going to go back to them. They have a good defense. Well, they have a lot of good players on defense anyway. So Joe Mike says, are we accepting trades? No. Sluggo says Warren. Phil Adams says Warren. Tony Alexo says Membu. Harlan says Membu. Sluggo says tight end, then best receiver. So we got to split Membu and Warren. See, this is what and this is what the I think I said this in one of the videos. It seems like the consensus that's sort of like building is that it's going to either be Membu, Cambu, or Warren, basically, or Warbu, or Graham if he falls. But I don't think Graham's getting past five. So that seems to be everyone seems to be um, settling in at this at this point for the Jets. It's either Warren or Membu or Cambu. Cambu is gone, so can't get him in this scenario. So basically, it comes down to Membu or Warbu. I don't think Warbu is like an extra tackle, Joe Mike. I don't think his blocking is that good. He's okay, better than Brock Bowers, better than some people, but it's not as dominant as a tackle. So me personally, considering position scarcity, in other words, it's hard to find a quality offensive tackle as good as Membu in this draft or anywhere else after this pick, other than Campbell. Whereas we can get a really good tight end later, not as good as Warren, but we can get a good one. Therefore, I'm going Membu all day, every day. All right, next is going to be 42. We got a trade. We're not doing any trades. So now, okay, this is we got another trade. We're rejecting that. This actually lines up pretty well for what we need. Now the play. Now we took an offensive tackle. Um, so our need. We still need a wide receiver. We need a defensive tackle, and so forth. People still on the board here: Tyleek Williams, Mike Green, Jackson Dart, Ariante Arcery. We're not taking any offensive tackles. We took ours. Mason Taylor's here, probably the second best tight end in the draft, according to most. Milrow, Connerly, Carson Schwessinger, Trey Amos. So we got some cornerbacks. I don't think we're going corner really, except maybe late. Jalen Royals is here. He's gotten some. I've seen some nice things written up about Jalen Royals. Maybe an underrated guy. Isaiah Bond out of Texas. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State. You see Makuba's here. Alfred Collins is here. But I think the guy that we should be targeting here is right on time. Yeah, Tyleek. Fix the trenches and finish the pieces. Logo says, if you draft Membu, you aren't affording. Oh, yes, we are. It's real easy. You can't say don't build the line because you can't afford them. Of course, you can afford them very easily. Sure, we do. I mean, I don't care where we take them, but we got to take the best people we can. That's the way I look at it, sport. Yeah, everyone's saying Williams here. So this is an easy pick. So if Tyleek Williams, the 29th best according to Pro Football Network, PFSN, um, is there at 42. We pretty much got to take him. It's a position of need. It's a great value. It's Tyleek. And now we'll get our tight end, hopefully. Let's reject our trade here, though we could have moved back a couple of picks. So Mbao, Makuba, DeMar Turner, Gunnar Helm is here. So we could take Gunnar. We could take Elijah Arroyo, Terrence Ferguson. Yeah, so to me, this one's pretty easy. Ozzy's 108 ranked according to this here, 108th best. Some interesting wide receivers on the board. Savion Williams. Uh, this is pretty easy here. Who's the next? Who do they have as the best? Oh, they have an offensive tackle. We're not taking that. Defensive tackle. We're not taking that. I mean, I guess the argument you could have is, do we want to take Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State? We do need a wide receiver. Do we want to take an Andrew Makuba? That could be a consideration. He's right around this value. We do need a safety, of course. And then there's some people I don't know too much about. Lathan Ransom. But the best tight end on the board is Gunner. And he's a guy, Gunner Helm. We looked at his scouting report the other day. He's basically like a Sam Laporta type. Great hands, catches the ball, and but bigger and maybe blocks a little better. Tight end in the third round. Higgins. So Jimmy's saying Higgins. Jimmy wants a wide receiver. Harlan's saying Helm. Sluggo likes, I don't like these decisions. I'm very upset. Sluggo, man, one thing, Sluggo, you should be happy because we're going to be ground and pound this year. I don't know. You should be very happy about the Jets in terms of style of play. We're going to be a lot more ground and pound and a lot more man coverage. So to me, I probably like our wide receiver room for the roles we're going to have to play as it is right now. Brian wants Higgins. PC says round one, I was stuck between Membu and Warren. Yeah, can see reasons for both. Me too. Phil says Higgins. Joe Mike wants Higgins. A lot of people want Higgins as a wide receiver. Here's the thing to think about with our wide receiver room. How many times are we going to throw the ball? How many times per game are we going to throw the ball with this offense? We're going to be running an RPO based triple option offense where there's going to be a lot of running with the running backs, a lot of running with the quarterback. And how many times are we going to throw the ball? 20, 25? And out of those 25, 12 are going to Garrett, and then target wise, and then you got 13 left over for everybody else, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. So, do we really need another wide receiver when we have Josh Reynolds uh, and the guys that we have in that room who can catch the ball 4 times, 3, 4 times per game? It's not going to be a lot of volume. On the other hand, if we go with a tight end like Gunner, that helps your running game because he's going to block. It helps your passing game because he's going to catch 4 or 5 passes a game. And, tight ends are very valuable if you can. I mean, obviously, as we've seen, tight ends are hard to develop in the league. We haven't done a good job of it. But Gunner Helm helps you in multiple spots. Wide receiver really just helps you once. One. Anyone anyone named Gunner? They made the case for Warren. Yeah, but you got to make the case for everybody, PC. Like I can make an equal case for Membu. So I like Warren a lot, and if they chose Warren, I would not be upset at all. I totally get it. Um, and I wouldn't be upset. I'd be like, okay, great. But then round two has to be an offensive tackle. Then absolutely has to. But then you can make the same case for Membu as well. And that's going to be the ongoing debate, I think, this year is going to be Membu versus Warren, essentially. Membu Campbell, because the Patriots might take Membu. I've seen a couple of mocks where the Patriots take Membu. Yeah. Yeah, we grabbed that with Tyleek Sports. So in round two, we got Tyleek Williams. So that's our run stuffing defensive tackle to play next to Q. A good tight end would still be there in round four. Hmm. Well, we're not doing a 4-round mock, so that's interesting. You can say good. So that's the thing is that you have to compare these guys. The next tight ends, like Orande Gadsden. Nah, for me, I'm taking the best tight end I can get because number one, I don't think we're throwing enough. Now, probably round four, that means take a wide receiver just to have one. But I just don't think that we're going to throw that much. We're going to be run ground and pound. So we did this mock. We got Membu, Tyleek, Gunner, and I'd be very happy with this result. Trenches, trenches, trenches. People, stop people. Eh, I like it. Sluggo says, should have taken a tight end Warren, moved ABT to right tackle and drafted. Yeah, that's another option for sure. Latchy? Who the hell's Latchy? But so I think that was a pretty good 3-round mock. Brandon Smith? Nah, I wouldn't count on it, Phil. This is a practice squad player. All right, so since we just did a mock draft, let's continue on with the news. We have some news from Deion Sanders. Oh, really? Yeah. What's he saying? Well, let's find out. Cowboys ex Deion Sanders reveals new Shador draft preference. Oh, boy. Deion Sanders has been vocal about his draft day aspirations for his son Shador, but the former Dallas Cowboys star and rumored coaching target is now more open to the quarterback prospect facing more adversity. Oh, well, going to the Cleveland Browns would be adversity. Frisco, Texas. The NFL draft is fast approaching, and teams are piecing together their draft boards. This also presents a major moment for the prospects themselves to make their claims to prospective franchises. Shador Sanders is one of those highly touted prospects, and he finds himself in a unique situation at this time. Many view Sanders as the number 2 quarterback on the board, but has an extensive range of potential landing spots come draft day. In most years, teams with quarterback problems picking in the top 10 are quick to address those needs. This time around, those needs are apparent, but not as urgent for Sanders' potential suitors. But his father, former Dallas Cowboys star and rumored head coach target Deion Sanders, believes his son should face this uncertainty head on and embrace the pressure. He revealed in a conversation with Skip Bayless that he is not interested in interfering with the draft process. No, because that's not God's will right now, Sanders said, speaking for God. I want Shador to do what he's consistently done excel against all odds. I like the hating. I like the naysaying. I like the ignorance because it makes us feel better about what we do. It gives him another chip on his shoulder. Well, he might have a lot of chips on his shoulder. They could fall off if you're not careful. Both the coach and the quarterback blocked out the noise the past 2 seasons at the University of Colorado, leading a remarkable turnaround for a program that had a 1-11 record before their arrival. This says both the coach and the quarterback. Oh, Dion spirited the culture change for the Buffaloes, while Shador became a star on the field and one of the biggest names in the college ranks. That challenge gets heavier for him entering the pros. More likely than not, Sanders will be drafted into a situation not set up for him to succeed immediately. That is usually the case with these teams picking early on night one, but there's no question he will be battling adversity in his rookie season. When looking at potential landing spots like the New York Giants or Cleveland Browns, there's an added element of veteran competition that will make it more difficult to claim a starting spot from the jump. Regardless, it appears he and his family are up to the challenge. Ding. There we go. Shador up for the challenge. Will go anywhere. Good to know. Now, what's the next news item? Oh, check this out. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes body change amazing Chiefs fans. Patrick Mahomes body change amazing Chiefs fans. Patrick Mahomes is reworking his body this offseason as he tries to get better so he can avenge the Kansas City Chiefs' loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59 in February. Many people joked Patrick Mahomes had a dad bod during the season. He was admittedly overweight, fatty fatso. It did not help that he cannot outrun the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line during Super Bowl 59 with the extra poundage he was carrying. This offseason, Mahomes is trying to become someone he isn't. He is going with a more slender look and is sporting a mohawk. We will see how or if it affects his game and ability to take a hit with the dilapidated offensive line they have in Kansas City. Dilapidated. Fans have noticed his body transformation, and there have been positive reactions on social media. Yep, the league wanted 2018-19 Mahomes. Here he comes. We're going to have to deal with this motivated guy. Determined. Revenge season loading. Blah, blah, blah. And here he is working out. Big muscles. Determined face. Okay. Mahomes said the transformation was a proximate result of losing the Super Bowl. He still has not forgotten the Super Bowl loss to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The losses motivate him to be better. Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it is the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career, Mahomes said after the loss to the Eagles. These will be the two losses that will motivate me to be even better the rest of my career because you only get so few of these and you have to capitalize on these, and they probably hurt more than the wins feel good. Well, my question would be then why didn't you do this in the first place? So you lost one to Brady, and then you went to dad bod mode. So you didn't get motivated the first time you lost, but now the second time you lose a Super Bowl, now you're super duper motivated. So first time you lose a Super Bowl, you let yourself go and get into dad bod mode. But now a second Super Bowl loss, now that means now we get motivated and start working out. Okay. I guess, Mahomes said he was embarrassed. Well, I guess the first time he wasn't embarrassed, and he never wants that to happen again. Maybe the first time he lost, he was like, "Well, I had an injured toe, so I couldn't, not as embarrassing." But anyway, so it looks like Patrick Mahomes' revenge series happening. So that's part of the script this year. So NFL wrote the script, right? You know what the script is. It was like, all right, we rode the Swifties as far as we could ride them into the Super Bowl. And then when the Super Bowl came, it was like, well, we can't get anything more out of the Swifties this season. So, the Eagles swamped them. But now it's the revenge script. First, Travis Kelce announced he's coming back, which everybody should have known. Now we're getting reports of the dad bod is gone, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be super, super mad this year because losing the Super Bowl make me super mad. So now he's going to be super mad, and he's going to have get rid of the dad bod. So it's revenge time. So it's going to be a revenge script this year for the Chiefs. So all of you people who are out there rooting for other teams that are going for the Super Bowl, you can forget it. It's going to be the Chiefs and the Swifties once again in 2026, 2025, and 2026. So let's see. All right. So let's see if there's any late breaking news that we can talk about. Adam Schefter 1 hour ago reporting the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, that is, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk a $22.85 million bonus if he's on the roster Tuesday, April 1st. Once the 49ers pay that bonus, any trade talks for Ayuk would be off, and he would be expected to spend the 2025 season in San Francisco. Not sure why that would be. Well, I guess you don't want to pay a guy $22 million and then trade him, but if you really want to trade him, so Tuesday looms as Ayuk's unofficial trade deadline, and no deal currently is expected by then. And Grant Cohn says the 49ers would have to send a team picks to get them to pay the bonus. So you could do a sweetener. I guess the whole idea with Ayuk being traded is you don't want to pay that 22.85, but once you've paid it, then you're happy to have him on your team, I guess. And you're not. They already have like 11 picks, so they could actually send picks to a team for that. So let's see if there's any other breaking news. So just Brandon Ayuk. I assume later today we're going to be getting news from the owners' meetings. Okay, so Mark Maskey is reporting as the NFL's annual league meeting draws near, it's unclear whether the proposed tush push ban can get the necessary 24 votes. So maybe banned, may not be banned. We don't know at this point, but I would assume later today we're going to start seeing news reports about all that and all the other things that they're talking about down in West Palm Beach. Let's see if there's anything from the Jet beat writers. No, I guess the Jet beat writers are not filing any reports. Most of them are probably on vacation, to be honest with you. So it doesn't seem like anything late breaking at this time. So I guess we'll just open it up to the chat if there's any topics you want to cover. Just checking the Twitters. All right. Any topics the chat would like to cover? Sluggo's got to get going. Yeah, less than a month until. Man, it seems like forever. They should really move the draft up. It just takes forever. PC says, "Will the Mohawk? Well, the Mohawk will streamline his running. I guess. I mean, but he's got to wear the helmet over the Mohawk, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. You got the Mohawk, then you got the helmet, then you could have the Guardian cap over that. Mm, Not sure how that would work. So let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover in the world of sports for a quick UCF update. How about a UCF update? UCF athletics update. Number 25 rowing sweeps Sarasota 2K to win Benderson Cup. So UCF female rowing team. We got a good rowing team here at UCF. We won the Benderson Cup. So good job for the ladies of the UCF rowing team. Baseball, we got a decent baseball team, but we fell in extra innings to Cincinnati yesterday, 7-6. So we lost a close one. Softball drops game 2 to Baylor. So the softball team, the ladies, they're in Texas. They're playing Baylor University. They lost yesterday 3-2. No good. And the number 19 women's tennis team handles Cincinnati. So the women's tennis team is also playing Cincinnati. And yesterday we beat them, or the other day, 4-1. So good job, ladies tennis. All right. So that's the UCF update. And so on the schedule today, we got 4 games on the schedule today. Women's tennis is playing West Virginia today at 11 a.m. So that has started here in Orlando. They should be able to get that in before the weather comes. Women's tennis versus West Virginia. Then we got softballs at Baylor. So they continue to play in Waco, Texas, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Baseball, the men's baseball team is at Cincinnati. That's at 12 o'clock. That's over in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then we got women's soccer against Miami, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, scheduled for an Orlando, Florida start. I don't think they're going to get that game in. It's going to be rained out, thunderstorms coming through. But women's soccer is scheduled to play against Miami today. And that's your UCF update. Draft day plans, Phil Adams wants to know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on draft day. I mean, the question is really all about whether to do a live stream and a watch along. The problem with the watch along idea is most everybody's going to be watching on television. I'm going to be watching via the internet, which means there's delays and there's spoilers. So how do I handle the spoilers, Phil Adams, when there's a lot of tension. It's not like the games where if somebody says, "Hey, we gained 5 yards on a run," it doesn't spoil. I mean, it's not great, but it doesn't spoil everything. If people start saying, "Here's the pick, here's the pick," I mean, what how much is that fun? I don't know. Let me know in the chat if you want me to do a watch along. Basically, my I don't really feel like going on anybody else's channel, to be honest. They haven't asked me yet, but but so it's either do a watch along, a live watch along, or not, or nothing. And if I do a live watch along, people are going to be in the chat spoiling the pick because they're going to be watching on television and I'm going to be watching on the internet. And the internet feed is always behind the TV feed. So, um, So I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe I will do one, but I think the spoilers in the chat just make it not fun. And you can't control the spoilers in the chat. All right. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments in the chat section below. Final reminder, please give a like to this video. Please subscribe to the video. Please subscribe to the channel, I mean, and consider joining the inner circle. Um, Because in the inner circle, you get exclusive items, you get documents, you get emojis, you get all sorts of stuff. On the community tab, if you're already in the inner circle, a reminder, check out the community tab every so often. There's new things dropping. Check out the folders where we have things saved. There's updates to those folders all the time with new documents and updates to the existing documents, so forth and so on. Bill Adams, personally, always interested in your takes, Frankie. Yeah, well, what I could do is, like, as soon as the pick is made, do a video about the pick, what my thoughts are. But in the first round, it kind of seems like we're going to get somebody good no matter what. If we get Membu, if we get Warren, if we get Graham, if we get Campbell, those are the four most likely guys. Anyone, I'm happy with any one of them. So, I mean, I could do a reaction video. I don't know. Maybe I got to think about it. But it's over a month away. Let's uh, let's see what happens. Uh, it's over a month away. Maybe I'll do a live stream. Maybe not. Maybe I'll do a live stream and won't look at the chat very much when it's getting close to our pick, and then just do a live reaction to the pick. But the first round, is going to be over pretty quickly in terms of, well, that's not true. So we're picking seventh, and then so the first pick will be done quick, and then after that, teams will take their, what do they have, 15 minutes to pick, and they'll probably take all their time because they're fielding calls for trades and stuff. Um, that would be a couple hours, but then after, I mean, do we need to stay on for all the first round picks? I mean, I guess we do. I mean, it's probably what it goes from what 8, 7, 8 till midnight. When is it over? Midnight? Yeah, it's a long event. So am I going to stay on for 4 hours of the of the first round? I mean, that's a long one. And the Kansas City Chiefs take Josh Connerly. Oh, great. I mean, there could always be trades. We could trade back in, but who knows? So I guess we'll see. I guess we shall see. I'll make a determination here shortly, Phil Adams. All right. That being said, thanks for joining on Coffee with Frankie. Um, like I said earlier, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also consider joining the inner circle. I think it has great benefits, exclusive items, and I will